Hello everyone and welcome back to my garden. If you're new here, my name is Mari and I'm gardening in Queens, New York City. We are going to be taking a walk around the garden and seeing how everything is doing by this time of the year. This is the end of May, the last week of May. There's a lot of things happening. There's lots of blooms, lots of beautiful flowers in the garden, but I do grow mostly vegetables. I do have to harvest a few things, but I'll do after the tour so we can just focus more on what's going on, how things are going. I think this is a great opportunity for learning, seeing in real life people that have the same challenges as you. For instance, for me, growing in an urban area with limited space, that's really inspiring. And also you can kind of see hands-on what I'm doing, what's working for me, what's not, and maybe learn that way too. Let's take a look at this raised bed here first, because I am so happy with all these new blooms and flowers. Look at these snapdragons, and they're just bloomed this week. Look how beautiful they are. Those are called apple blossom snapdragons. They're supposed to be a cool weather flower so they can bloom a little earlier. I actually bought that start because the ones I started too late. Look how pretty they look. I love the color too, and they're right in front of a tomato that's actually doing really good. The kale that, if you remember, I harvested last week, that this and that has grown immensely. This is a volunteer potato. I just noticed I was here. I'm not gonna harvest from here because there are actually some neighborhood cats that come here and they like to do their business. They raise beds, so we decided that we're not going to eat anything that's touching the ground or as a potato grows under the ground, but everything that's above, it's okay. I did some researching. You can do your due diligence and research too, but what I have learned is like you have everything that grows above and it's not touching the soil, it's safer to eat, and obviously have to wash and clean everything very well before eating it too. But we're not eating in root vegetables or anything that's growing under the ground in this raised bed. So I'm probably gonna have to take out this potato because this bed is already kind of crowded, as you can see in here. It's filling up really nicely. There's a cabbage there that I say that we're not gonna eat too because it's a leafy green or he's touching the soil, but maybe we'll eat the middle. We'll see. We will cook it, obviously, not eating raw, but we have to decide because that guy's looking just so nice. I've never really successfully grown Napa cabbage yet other than this time, so that's why I kind of want to see if it will fully form ahead. It's looking pretty good. Looks like it's going to keep doing well even though it's getting a little warmer. I want to see what's going to happen there. I have another Napa cabbage in the green stalk back there that has bolted, so I'll show you guys how that looks like in a minute when I go head over to that side of the garden. Coming back here, look at this sunflower. It's about to open. This is a white light sunflower. It's really small. I planted that early and started it indoors, so I don't think it grew for its full potential, but I'm still really excited to see it opening, blooming here in the garden. This is a peony that, as if you watched last week's, this one was just about to bloom. Now it's all spent, and the second one has fully bloomed and is looking beautiful. These peonies were already here when I moved in. They just came back in the ground. Oops, that one's kind of starting to go too, but I think once they get spent like that one, I might cut this down, this stem a little bit lower, so it gives some more space and breathing room for the things that are planted around it. So this is the kale I showed earlier, growing really strong, even though I just harvested last week. Then I have some pink celery here that is kind of skinny compared to this guy here in the pot that's looking really nice. So look how unique this color looks. It's a Chinese pink celery from Baker Creek Seeds. And I don't know if you guys remember, I was one of my early garden tours before I was doing the full ones, just the vlogs. I say they planted something in here. I didn't remember what it was and thought it was a weed. I actually found out this is a chickpea. I remembered that I planted chickpeas and then they germinated and are looking very nice and healthy like this. I have never planted chickpeas before, so I'm very excited to see if this is gonna do well on that pot. I don't even know. I just put it in here kind of randomly to do an experiment, so we'll see. Some of the pansies that were down here getting kind of shaded, but oh my god, all of the flowers are falling from my peony. No, I guess it was not good that I just touched it. Look at that. So sad. I'm sorry. This pansies here, I thought they would be more like spent by now, but they're still looking good. I think they might be liking the shade in there. These ones are really blooming. They're so beautiful. Those are edible flowers. Pansies were actually one of the first flowers that I grew, these and nasturtiums, because I come from a culinary background. I went to culinary school and worked in fine dining for many years, and we used pansies and nasturtiums to garnish the plates. and many places that I worked at. Once I planted my first vegetable garden, pansies and nasturtiums were the first flowers that I put it in. I knew that I had to go sunflowers for the pollinators, so I wanted to do something we could eat too. We do eat them. I love actually the flavor of nasturtium. I'll show you guys a nasturtium in a minute, but pansies are very mildly flavored and they can be used in many things, as mostly garnish for salads, even desserts, but you can do ice cubes. I saw someone did ice cubes with them. It was pretty cute. I might try to do that too. Since then, I have also learned that calendula are not only edible, they also have medicinal properties, especially the variety called Resina calendula, which I have in my green stock there. They are supposed to be very good for your skin. And I love this variety here that I got from Johnny's. Just look at this orange color. It's so gorgeous. It's getting some more buds in here. There's another plant just coming out. I just love them. This is called orange button calendula for Johnny seeds. I have been watching a few flower farm channels and I get so inspired by them to see all these beautiful flowers when they're showing things around, even if they're showing the vegetable farm and they pass through the flower patch, and I'm always like, whoa, that's so beautiful. So I hope you guys will be inspired too to see a little bit of flowers in my garden. I was never really a flower person before. I don't know, I never really thought about, you know, getting flowers for the home or anything like that, but once I started gardening, I am obsessed with them now. I love the pop of color, and also the pollinators. When they come, we start seeing butterflies and sometimes even hummingbirds. It's just amazing to sit here in the garden in a place to kind of like take a little break of the hustle and bustle of New York City. I feel that from now on I'm always going to go flowers. So even if you have limited space and just to have a plot for some tomatoes or something, I also suggest you could try to do some companion planting. You can put a little marigold in there with the tomatoes. They're good pescatarian too, so it's always beneficial to try to bring diversity to the garden, and I have now come to understand the importance of flowers in the garden too. So I love my flowers. I love this. I don't know if you guys can see from far from the camera, but there's these little purple ones here and this beautiful red. I'm gonna put it in the screen. This is from Johnny's too. I actually did not pinch this because I was so excited to have flowers. Pinching your flowers can set them a couple weeks back, and I just wanted to have some of them here. So this is just go to a single stem, and it's not a stall because it's in a pot, but I still love it. I think it's great. It's beautiful. This is why it's bringing me most joy in the garden at this time. So there's a tomato in here, tomato back there. That's also flowering. They have these big little flowers, and what I like to do when they're flowering like this, I like to hand pollinate them, which I would just with my fingers go ahead and move them around. You can also move the whole plant when you pass by. Just move it like this if you don't want to have too many and don't want to go flower by flower. I like touching the flowers and kind of seeing them, so I don't mind kind of give them a little shake. So just giving a little extra hand for biggest yield, but obviously bees and the pollinators will do that for you too. But when I'm passing by them, I don't think it hurts to give it a little shake and help around if I can. They are growing very fast. If you notice, this is much taller than it was last week already. It's full of some blooms in there, and I have already pruned some of them. I wanted to do a video this week on how to prune tomatoes, but it was just a very busy week for me, so I didn't have a chance. So you can see here the tomato plant's very tall, and underneath here to the base there are no leaves. So I pruned all the bottom leaves, suckers or regular leaves. I'll explain what that is in a minute, just because tomatoes are very prone to fungal disease, and so the leaves are touching the ground, like that one over there almost touching the ground. There's a higher chance that it can have some splashback from the soil when it rains or water, and that something can get into the leaf and the tomato plant can get sick. So it's always best, in my opinion, to try to cut the whole bottom, to prune the whole bottom of your plant, all the leaves out, and leave like good space. This one is not pruned. You see the difference? This one, just little single stem here. You can see where I took the leaves from. This guy here just left to be. So these are just regular leaves, the one that grow straight that way. The ones that are in the angle like this, these two are called suckers, and these are full tomato plants that just come from the side. If you get one of these guys and you plant on the ground and put in water, you can root them, and a brand new tomato plant is going to come out of here. Is going to basically be a clone of the plant that you just took it out from. It's important to note that most of my tomatoes are indeterminate varieties. I'm growing mostly heirlooms, and for indeterminate tomatoes it's recommended that you prune. Now you do whatever it's easier for you. There are some people that say they never prune their tomatoes and they have highest yields. I like to prune mine because we are in a very humid climate during the summer here, but there's a lot of disease and stuff that come through that we have to deal with. So I take the suckers out of these tomato plants to try to get a growth from a single stem. Where those blooms here are, you can see that they will come through. This is actually a stem and it came to the side, but there's blooms in here. Another keeps going over here, and there's another one with blooms. This is a sucker right here on the armpits, called in between the leaf and the stem. I'm gonna pick this off too, and I'm gonna encourage this plant to grow to a single stem. So all of this fruit that's coming through that stem there are gonna have a chance to become bigger. You might not necessarily get a lot of fruit doing this, but you get bigger fruit. But now there's some people that say that also we do get more fruit, because once you let the suckers go, you get lots of leaves and gets a lot of greenery, and it sucks a lot of the energy from the plant to grow that way, and it will not be as prolific. So I follow the advice of the people that actually prune them, because also I know that it's very humid here. My tomato plants all got sick last year, so I'm gonna try to be better this year too with pruning, giving them some more airflow. I know I overcut this bed. I have a hard time with limited space to give them proper spacing, but I'll still try my best to try to see if I can facilitate some airflow through here. Now let's prune this tomato here together. So I'm gonna start here at the bottom, and I'm gonna take this one out. Okay, and then this is just a regular leaf. I'm taking that out too. You can use a pruner for this, but I'm just gonna use my hands for now. And this is a really big sucker. That would be a nice to propagate. I'll show you guys how to do that too. And then this one out as well. And then this one guy. I'm also gonna go after those little ones that are growing on the top. And everything that's growing in between, those are just very small. I'll take that out too. Same with this guy here. This is the armpit, this is the sucker. Take it out. There we go. I'm still gonna tie this one up as I have tied the other ones. I bought these little biodegradable tomato tie things. You actually are going to be doing this through the whole season. Tomato plants should not stop putting out suckers if they are indeterminate variety, which most heirlooms are, which just means that they'll keep growing their vines, they'll keep growing till the weather comes and kill them. These are actually tropical plants. I come from the tropics too. I come from Brazil. And there, tomato plants don't just die with the frost. They'll get sick or something happen like this, but they can live for a very long time because the weather is favorable for them there. But here, because we try to accommodate these plants here to this climate, they won't tolerate the winter, so they will die and have to start them new from seed every year. They will try to keep growing, putting out the suckers through the whole season. If you wanted to try to propagate this, let's say some of your tomato plants died or you have some extra space in the garden, I take the lower leaves, you can do 3 on the top, and then I would immerse this in water, and after a few days, sometimes a week or so, some roots will start coming through the stem, and you could plant this right in the garden. Some people would put this straight in soil, very moist soil, but I myself always like to try to root things first. I don't know, just to ensure that it will work. I don't need any more tomato plants. As you can see, my garden is already overcrowded, but if you were to do that, there's, you know, you could, this would be a great size to do it. Some people say if they're really big and already have fruit on it, they're not very great. But these guys here, we're just starting. This here, I would just take out those bottom leaves, and we can put this in water, and we could have some more tomatoes, which is pretty cool. I think it's a really cool thing to know. All right, let's go back to the garden tour. Let's take a look at the rest of this raised bed. Okay, so along the border here, I have the flowers. There are some more zinnias here. They're very tiny. I think they're stunted, but I'll let them go there. This is a black king pansy. Look how beautiful this is. It's actually not fully black. If you look very closely, you can tell there's some hints of purple in there. I'm not sure if you can see in the camera. Oh yeah, so there's some hints of purple. I got this from Baker Creek Seeds too. And here we have some purple basil. They're growing in the base of those tomatoes. This is nasturtium, so as an edible, this one's not blooming yet, but I think this is a Bloody Mary variety. Take the sucker back to our table here. And here on this bed edge, there's this eggplant that I don't think it's gonna do well. It's kind of suffering. I can see it blooming here. I'm gonna pinch them off. because not time for it to be producing flowers here. I would like to get a little bit bigger before it starts to do that. I hope it does. Those peppers here are all little. I mean, I planted them too close. I knew they could be stunted, so it is okay. Let's see what happens. I have a giant marigold back there. I can't remember the name exactly, but I can put it on the screen. That's looking really good. It's supposed to be orange and big double blooms. Some more zinnias there. Borage about to bloom, and this is a branching sunflower. And the rest of my garden is all containers. So let's move to the container side now. We're gonna start here with this beautiful cauliflower. Look at that. It's starting to get, you see this little pinkish things? I think it's from the sun. The little florets starts to separate, so I have to harvest this. I wanted to get a little bigger, just as big as my hand, but it is what it is. It's probably getting too hot for it. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and harvest this week, even though it's not as big as I wish it was, but it's still pretty good. And here on this green stalk, look how beautiful this pink one looks. It's funny how they have stages. That guy was looking really good. One had all the big stuff growing in it, but I harvested most of it. Now this is just looking amazing. It's catching up to it. It was kind of little, but I love the way this is looking. Even though the tatsoi have bolted. Remember last week was just little flower buds underneath. Now it has going all the way here and is already flowering. I should take it out because I have still some seedlings that need in the home, so I will just plant something else in here. Now something very, very exciting that's happening here in the green stalk. So this tomato here is full of flowers, you can see. Let's give it a little shake. This one over here, check this out. It already has baby tomatoes in it. How cool is that? This is an orange hat tomato. My friend Marcia gave it to me, the seeds. I'm super excited. So this is a miniature variety. I have another one there that I put in the little hanging pot. I might even put it in here to be with the other tomatoes. I'll think about it, and next week you guys will see what I end up doing. Here we have some strawberries. This plant is doing really good. I bought this as a start. It's called Berry Basket White. I guess it's ever-bearing strawberry. So the strawberries are going to be smaller, but it's going to bear fruit through the summer. When if you buy a June berry, it usually produce in June to have bigger fruit, but then it would stop after. This one's supposed to bloom for a long time, so let's see how long it will bloom. There's another nasturtium there. I have a Napa cabbage, see, the same as the one that was in the raised bed, but this one's bolted. So this one has gathered a lot of sun, and it's probably in a small space, so it didn't do very well here. I gotta go ahead and harvest this one too. So this one's gonna come out, and this one's gonna come out this week. Lavender is full of buds. So excited, I love lavender. I have dried some from this plant last year. So once this all kind of open, I'm gonna cut it back after this first set of leaves here in between those two, and then they'll encourage to keep producing more blooms. There's a chamomile down there that's getting shaded, so I don't know how it's going to do, but so far it's going slow, but I don't think it's suffering too much, at least I hope not. Little purple basil there. Here we have more calendula. This is the Resina variety. So this is the one that has the highest compounds that are good for your skin. It's very popular for medicinal uses. I'm gonna go ahead and actually pluck this flower later too, so we can keep encouraging more blooms to grow. So back here, just more nasturtium, just starting to pick up some more pink celery. I have some variegated sage that's very cute, little thyme that's flowering. I love to eat thyme flowers and put that in salads and stuff too. Now the pansy in here. More celery down here. This celery is doing pretty good, even though it's kind of getting shaded there. You can rotate these planters regularly if you want to. I just haven't been as much, but it's still doing okay. I have a potato here that's starting to flower. So with potatoes, I like to actually pinch. So potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, they are all in the same family, the nightshade family, and this flowers kind of look similar. But this flower here would have looked like an eggplant flower. This is a potato flower. It also produces a little berry, but the berry is actually poisonous. So it's recommended that you pinch out the flowers so no one eats that by accident. But if you pinch the flowers, I heard that helps with getting the plant to send the energy back to its roots and to produce bigger tubers. Potatoes are usually ready to harvest once the plant grows fully, turns yellow and die back. That's when you would go for the potatoes underneath. Here on this side, I have changed this layout a little bit. I put some of my tomato plants on that corner to try to maximize my space as much as I can, so they can just grow up to that fence there, and I'll tie them up accordingly that way. So let's see if that works. Here's a cucumber that I want to vine grab through here and grow through this side. I'll try to train it not to go over the tomatoes, to come to this side. I'll show you guys later once it's happening in the garden how I do it. And since talking about peppers, this is the shishitos that I've been showing for the past 2 garden tours already. I haven't harvested yet. They're getting big. I have a lot of food in the fridge that I still have to eat from last week, so I'm leaving them in here for a few more days and probably harvest again to eat with some of the stuff. But there's some eggplant in here too. This eggplant, it's a patio baby eggplant. I planted this year, last year, and it was really good, very prolific. It's taking a little bit longer this year than I thought, but we'll still see. Let's give it some time, and maybe it needs warmer weather. And this puma pepper here was also overwintered. It's finally producing flowers. So I think it did produce some flowers earlier, but got cold and the flowers fell. So the same thing with the tomatoes. I'll just kind of move it around to pollinate it, and hopefully we have some puma peppers soon. But look how gorgeous these leaves look. I love the look of this puma pepper against the green. It just looks so nice. It gets darker if you put in a sunnier spot, so the more sun it gets, the darker it gets, which is really cool. And check this out, look what I did. I don't know if I showed this last week. My neighbor back here, they used to garden, but they have rented their space for some other people, so this year they just covered with mulch. So there's actually all that dirt in there that's not being used, and some of it spills over to our garden, as you can see here. So what I thought was to plant, I had extra seedlings in my defense, plant a few things in here and see how they would do, just for fun, just as an experiment. Because how cool would that be if you kind of were in a similar situation than me in your space, and you could use some of that dirt to grow some stuff for yourself. I think it's pretty cool. Some of that soil, sorry. So I am experimenting. Let's see if these plants are gonna grow. I hope that the roots go back. I planted them pretty deep because that goes deep down there, but hopefully, because there's nothing growing in the back, the roots will go that way and get all the nutrients and everything in there and do well here in the side of the garden too. We'll see. So I have 3 indeterminate heirloom tomatoes in here. This is a ananas noir. This is a orange accordion, and that's a Roma. This is a midnight Roma, so it's indeterminate. It's a heirloom. Usually Roma tomatoes are determinate, which means that they will grow to a specific height and will set a set amount of blossoms and fruit. They will produce all at once, and the plant will die. It's like a bush kind tomato, bush variety of tomato. But this one that I have here, this is an indeterminate heirloom Roma tomato from Row 7 Seeds, called Midnight Roma. It's supposed to have purple shoulders, and that one will grow as a vine too, and you need to be pruned, etc. Over there I also moved a few things around. If you remember from last week, this greenhouse used to be right there in the back. I decided to take it out. I noticed that it was a lot of fungus gnats who were kind of breeding inside there because it's getting warm and humid. So I took that out. I'm going to unassemble, and I'm going to save it for next year when we need it. The shelf that was there went to the back where the greenhouse was, so now I can have all plants in here, which gets nice sun. So I'm very excited about that. But actually, before I move there, let's take a look at this brown green stock first, because there's still interesting things happening there too that I want to show you guys. This purple kale is doing good, but it's starting to get lots of aphids. I think it's getting a little hot for them. There's a lot of aphids in here too, but there's something exciting happening. You see this right here? That is a ladybug larva, and they love to eat aphids. So because I left some of these aphids in here, I was not too crazy about spraying them, taking them out. I provided a food source for the ladybugs to come here, and they saw there was a lot of food for the babies, so they laid some eggs, and now we have a lot of ladybug larvae, which I'm very, very grateful for. There's actually ladybug eggs all over. I'm gonna show you guys in my other green stock. There's a couple more there too, but this is so exciting because I try to do mostly organic, practice organic, natural growing methods. I don't spray anything, any pesticides or anything in my garden. When I say spray the aphids, I really just mean coming with a hose and spray them off just so they fall from the plant, but not really spray with any chemical or anything. This is usually what most people would do for first measure of pest control with aphids. They try to spray them with a hose. If it doesn't work, they'll come with soap and water, keep spraying every 2 days. I decided to be a bit more hands-off this year. Granted, I have a lot of plants, so I can afford to have a little bit of damage or loss if some of them get very damaged, but I wanted to do this to encourage the ladybugs moving in, so they know that they'll have a good food source for their babies. They're considered beneficial insects, and you really want to provide them a good habitat so they can stay. And I guess for me, providing this habitat is providing them food, so I'm just gonna leave the things that have aphids alone and let them manage it. Let them move on and eat if they want to, reproduce if they want to produce more. So here too, this was I wanted to show. We have some beets. Look at that. They're little still, but some of the bulbs are starting to form. I think in the other side too. Let me turn this planter. Not these guys. Oh, these ones. Those are bigger. Look at that. So exciting. Root vegetables do well in the green stock, even though I had no luck with the carrots on them this year. But for now here, I have harvested a few things on this side, and I planted a bean that's already germinated. This is going to be a yellow waxy bean that it's going to grow here in this pocket. I planted, I think, midweek. And here too down, I planted some peppers underneath. Those are Brazilian peppers. Those are 2 hot ones, and that's a bikini pepper down there. That's a mild little one, sweet. And because I'm Brazilian, I'm very excited about them. And the carrots, I didn't really do very well this year. So I have one here. I sowed them at the same time as the brassicas. Maybe, I don't know why. Sometimes, these things happen. I have one little one here, but they didn't really germinate. I had 4 germination. And I decided to go ahead and replant the pockets with some other things. Those things happened. Last year, the carrots did great in the green stock. This year, not so good, but you know what? It's okay. Just an opportunity to plant something else. That's how I see it. Oh, look, another ladybug larva. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. You see this? I'm very happy that this is happening by this time. So here we have this very nice strawberry. This one is full of strawberries, little strawberries. We even have a blushing one here. How exciting. There's very little. I hope it's very sweet. That's super cool. Strawberries are supposed to do very good in the green stock, and as you can see, it's doing great. So same variety. This is a berry white. I bought 2 plants when I bought those, so it's one here and the other one is there. This one is doing amazing. This is another ladybug larva in the strawberry. This is really cool. They're helping me out with the pest control. And other than more beets everywhere and some other peppers in here, this is a fish pepper that's variegated. I have a marigold here too, the giant kind, the same that's in the raised bed, and this Napa cabbage that got slugs because it's close to the ground, and I keep rotating, so I think they come coming from there. But it's alright. It's forming a head. It hasn't bolted yet, so I'm hoping it gets a little bit bigger so I can harvest and cook with it. But it's kind of cool too. But as soon as I harvest this, I'm also going to replace this pocket with something else. If you're new here and you're curious about these vertical planters, they're my favorite kind of vertical planters. They're from Green Stock Garden. And as you can see, the plants do very well in it. I have posted a 1-year review video if you're curious. But if you watch that video, then watch this. Look how much growth this already has. So it's pretty exciting. And a lot of the stuff there has changed in that planter as well. But I also am an affiliate with them. I love them so much. I asked if I could be an affiliate, so I have a discount code called Mars Garden. You can get $10 off your orders over $75 if you're interested in having one of those two to grow in your garden. So moving to this side, those are the all potted plants. They had a Napa cabbage in here last week. I took it out. We harvested because it bolted too, and I put a tomato in here. I was really trying this week to plant a lot of my seedlings that were kind of struggling that table. So this tomato is new. This is looking much behind than those tomatoes, even though they were planted from seed the same day. This stayed in a small pot for a while, so hopefully we'll catch up, but I think we'll do okay. This cherry is doing amazing over here. This is called Berry Crazy Cherry. There's some flowers coming out of here, but they're supposed to come in these really huge clusters. I tried to grow them last year. They didn't do very good. This year, thankfully, they're looking much better. So, hoping for the best. I can't wait to show you guys how it looks once it's had some fruit. And here, there's some squash that's grown so much in 1 week. It was literally looking maybe smaller than this when I planted. And now it has had all these sets of leaves and it's looking pretty good. So, this is a dark star zucchini. It's a long green zucchini. This one is lemon squash, so it'll be a yellow little lemon squash. Those two are both varieties of summer squash, so both summer and winter squash is grown in the summer, but winter squash just stores for the winter, so I don't have any of my winter squash planted yet. Oh, look what I'm just seeing. It's only worth it to be interrupted by a ladybug. Look at this cutie. Hey, thank you for laying your eggs everywhere. Truly a gift. I'm very, very grateful that they're moving in. and hopefully we'll have much more. Hopefully I remember what it was, but yes, I haven't planted any of my winter squash yet. They get really big, so I'm going to be planting them mostly at the plot garden. I will show you guys the plan for it when we move on to that at the second half of this video. This planter here, look at this, guys. I think this is a weed. I did not plant this, but the plant was growing so fast. I was like, oh, I'm gonna let it grow, and I am so glad I did. I love all those little tiny white flowers. If you know what this is, please let me know in the comments down below. My Google Lens and stuff are not working really good. Just keep me suggesting a bunch of different stuff. So if you know, if you, from experience, have planted this, please let me know, because I love the way it looks. If I try to do flower bouquets this year, just for myself obviously, I love to use this as a filler, because that I think will look very nice. It's growing along with these peas, which are setting flowers on this planter here. I think it's getting a little bit suffocated by it because it's not doing as good, but check this out. The ones that are on that pot there and kind of grew over, it's full of peas. Last week it was all flowers and now it's all peas. How cool is that? Even though it's growing in a small container, it's producing very well. I really like the way it's producing right now. Even this one here is the same variety. I planted this little pot. I'm gonna get some peas out of it, which is pretty cool to see how resilient that plant is. So down here, coming back, we have the more tomatoes. Those are all cherries. And this one here, look what I see. It's a little tomato there. Oh, hey. Oh, another one here. Oh, very nice. That's another one here. Sorry, the camera is so zoomed. Another one on that side. This is a Brad's Atomic Grape tomato. So this didn't do very well in my garden this year. Kind of got sick early, but this year is looking really good. So again, hoping for the best. Here's another little important thing to mention. These cherry tomatoes, they are indeterminate too, but I am not pruning them. They are in these cages over here. I am not taking anything out. Cherry tomatoes are supposed to still produce well even though they're not pruned. Maybe if there's some airflow and they get sick, I don't know, but for now I'm letting them do its thing. Here on this side, I thought I had planted some magnolia tendril, but I also planted some golden peas because there are some yellow peas coming out here. This golden snow pea is also very vigorous and grows very tall, and the flowers are first purple and then they come out yellow. So how cool is that? There's some yellow. See how it's purple here? There's a pea in here. But we already seen everything on that side. We're gonna check out now that little upstairs. Put a smaller tomato plant in here instead of the one with the cage, because it's kind of invasive to us going back and forth having the huge cage in our face. So I'm gonna try to grow it to one stem too. Peppers in here are doing good. This peppers kind of get choked by these boars and the shiso that volunteered in their pot. Those were overwintered from last year, but they're coming back a little slower than the ones downstairs. Maybe the ones downstairs just got more sun. Here we have the peas. The other peas are kind of struggling with the heat, but this is how they're looking this year. Green. Oh, there are some purple ones. Okay, I still get a few purple ones, but mostly I guess they will be green. I don't know. Oh, there's not. This one is both purple and green. Here on this side, this is a bit more sheltered, so this plant's looking a little healthier, even though it is turning slightly yellow on the bottom too. It was a little behind on producing the flowers in that one, but it's catching up. Okay, there's some purple ones here. Oh, I didn't even see this. That's great. But it's full of flowers here on the top. I was hoping that would come up all the way to the top. Maybe they'll still keep growing, I don't know. But here, where a lot of the bok choy was, I sold some beans this week, and they are also germinating. This guy germinated. This guy here just going to break from the soil. I think I put 2 seeds. I don't know if there's another one going there, but I put 2 seeds per pocket. Oh, okay, there it's going. Greenstock says that you can put up to 3 seeds, but I'm doing 2 and some 1 with those beans. There we go. And most of this stuff I went around over many times with the other garden tours, but this other side is still looking a little better. Oops. The cilantro bolted, unfortunately, so I'm gonna harvest this to do some cooking. This new nasturtiums there are starting to pick up, looking nice. The sorrel also bolted here. There's some new basil that I put here. Fennel taking a little slow. Put some more basil here. What else? Down there, there's some lettuce. I missed a few, and this guy's just growing back. It already kind of turned a little bitter, for me at least. I traced it in there. Not as sweet anymore. It's tasting like summer lettuce, but it's alright, I guess. I will still eat it. I still have some lettuce inside, so I'm not harvesting this yet. So that's it for the backyard. We are going to be moving to the plot garden now, and I'm gonna try to pass through the front yard. It has grown so much since I showed you guys on week 1, and as I mentioned, there's new tenants living on that side, on that apartment. My landlord still lets me plant stuff in their little outside area, but I don't want to be in their way. But I'm gonna try to pass by and show you guys what's going, because there's some calendula that's blowing there too, the same variety that's in here, that's beautiful. The sunflowers there are doing great. Tomatoes are kind of picking up. I still have to try to find some time to go there and stake the tomatoes and put some sticks in there, but let's get to it. So my apartment is not very big. That's the door there, that's for the backyard, and then here's our tiny kitchen, and this is the door that leads us to the front part of the building where the front yard is. This is where I used to garden last year. Right here I had all my planters, a bunch of like potted plants there. Now it's only the raised beds that I've built. There's just some sunflowers in there, some tomatoes in the middle, some calendula in here. And the borage, that had borage here last year, just came back and volunteered. Some more calendula, but it's looking good. Hopefully it will grow tall and give some privacy to the new tenants, because this is a very busy street that we live on. I'm lucky to be in the backyard now. This is a bit more quiet, but it's a lot of foot traffic and noise here, so having sunflowers really help with getting some privacy. So the plot garden is just a little short walk, but there's so many beautiful blooms around the neighborhood right now. I love that people plant lots of flowers here. Look at these hydrangeas, just so pretty. So Danny started cutting down the pear tree, the one over there. We have left this out here to dry, and we are going to cut the rest of it and put it out in the curb to be picked up, because unfortunately it's sick, so we can't add this to our compost. So the sun is out now, so it's nice and bright, but let's just start here looking at this grapevine real quick. Look how many possible grapes this will set. Last year we didn't get any. They've set some fruit, but then the birds ate it or they fell. But this year is looking like it's gonna have a lot more, so hopefully we get to taste it. So my neighbor that owns this plot say that they are small, seedless, red grapes, and they're very, very good and very sweet. But last year we didn't get to taste them. Hopefully get to taste this year. Here's the plot as a whole. Very bright right now, but things are gonna be okay. Potatoes, amazing. So proud of how they're looking. I did not have a chance to come here and put some more soil. Can you guys believe that? It's looking a little dry, but it's gonna rain today. I'm gonna come later today. I hope I have some time, because I did buy the soil, the potting soil. I just didn't have a chance to come here and do it yet. I keep forgetting, but it needs to be done, because I'm afraid some potatoes gonna start popping up from those stems soon. I actually have some more seed potatoes that I plan to do a second wave of planting in buckets too, just like these ones, and hopefully those will be Adirondack blue potatoes. Those are the ones that are bought certified seed potatoes. I guess I showed you guys in one vlog that I did. When they came, they're still in my house. I didn't get a chance to plant them there, but they have to be planted as soon as possible, because I'm scared they might start getting soft. So I'll try to get that done this week too. These potatoes, just noticed, are all stalking. I also have got some flowers. So again, just like the one I did at home, I'm gonna pinch them off. I'm just gonna throw back inside here to compost in place. And here I did some weeding. Oh yeah, this is a big, oh, is this a butterfly right there? Look at that. Did some weeding. I feel bad, to be honest, because I hate leaving exposed soil like this, but I wanted to give some space for this clover that I planted as a cover crop. Look at that guy. That I planted as a cover crop to grow and cut and take over. But now that it's dry, you can see how the soil, it almost feels like dusty, you know, it doesn't hold water really well. But we're trying to fix that and trying to make this soil a bit healthier. So bare soil is not a really good thing, you know, nature likes to keep it covered, so it can absorb some water, the roots can hold in place and support of the microbiome underneath. I wanted to mulch this garden. Someone asked me that in one of the previous videos, and I had saved some leaves, fall leaves, that I wanted to use it, but unfortunately they got thrown away. A few other people come to this plot here to do different things. For my neighbor, he owns the whole building here, and I think that got tossed because it was in a trash bag. I was very sad about it, because it is a big space, and for me to bring in mulch, it's a little expensive, but I'm considering I might have to do it now, because I want to make sure this is gonna do well. So I'm gonna think about it. Someone suggested that I create an Amazon wish list and people can send me some straw or something. Maybe I'll think about doing that. I'll try to figure out how those things work. As far as right now, some of these are looking a little bare. I hope that when these plants grow too, you know, the leaves and everything is gonna shade the soil. And there's some compost in there, but it's getting dry quite quickly. So let's see how it goes. Continuing this side here, that bed now has full sun. Before, when the tree was there, this was all shaded, so I planted this as a kind of little simple herb medicine garden because it's supposed to be partly shaded. Now that is all in the full sun, I'm hoping we'll do better. I think I have already noticed some growth. What do you guys think from last week, especially this feverfew here? Oh, look at that, those are tomatillo volunteers. Maybe I'll keep a couple of them or transplant them somewhere. I had a tomatillo plant here last year, if you guys remember. Some food probably fell in there. I'm going to think about maybe I will just move them around a bit. But everybody here is looking to be growing. I guess the fennel is still, every week I say that's doing the best, but it is. It's just growing very, very nicely. And I love this color. And moving to this side, we have the flowers. So this is supposed to be sort of a cut flower bed to be right here in the entrance of the garden. They are not growing as fast as I thought. This straw flower is doing well, but everybody else is still growing slow. If you're curious about the varieties I talked about in the last garden tour, you can check that out. And here, close to this arch that I am absolutely in love with, highly considering getting a second one to put right behind it, but we'll see. We have some flowers. Look, the straw flower is about to bloom, and look at this beautiful color. I love this. It looks so unique too, very shiny. That's very cool. Here on the base of this trellis, the beans have sprouted. Look at that, check this out. Those are noodle beans, heirloom variety. So this is the ones, seeds I got from Hawaii. It's going to be red and green, the long noodle beans. There is a little cucumber in here. I put 2 in case one of them don't make it. Thinking to leave this one on because this might be too close to the beans and it's already kind of get eaten somewhere. So I hope this one make it because I see some holes in there too. The other side, I have some kajari melon. Something, I don't know if it's a beetle. You see those little holes in there? Something, it's doing something to them. I don't like to see that. But some kajari melons here. That one's probably not going to make it. And on the other side, there's another cucumber. This is a Supremo cucumber. It's a pickling variety. This one here is a silver slicer. It was my favorite one last year. And I have some butterfly peas that I put here, but they're not looking very good either. They're turning yellow, so I might throw some extra seeds in there and hope they germinate so they can climb over this trellis too. On this side, there's the squash bed. Looking good. They have grown a little bit since last week, which is nice. That zinnia is about to bloom back there too. Here, there's some corn, the 3 sister bags. So if I do get a second trellis, I'm gonna put it behind this one. I don't know, maybe I'll have to take some off this corn. I really want it because I know that if you want to do squash in there, last year the squash didn't do well. It was growing over this fence. It got a lot of powdery mildew and all the fruit got eaten by squirrels. I don't know. I feel like if they're growing on the ground like a traditional 3 sisters, they would get eaten really soon or get sick sooner. So if I do get a trellis to climb over here, maybe I have a chance for better aeration and they will, I don't know, the squirrels might still eat them, but I'm just thinking that could be a better option for them to grow. We'll try and see how it works this year. Remember how puny those were looking when I took the other ones out? I didn't think they would grow this much, but that's a good thing. So they're growing nicely now. There's a dino kale, which is one of my favorites, so that's good. The little Resina calendula in here too. I have to come and pick these blossoms so I keep producing soon. Back here, eggplant. Still not doing the greatest, still a little yellow, so let's hope for the best for them too. This here is some dragon tongue beans that I planted. I planted 2 and 2 there. I'll tend to the best looking one, or if a bird eats it. I want to have 2 big bush beans in here, the nice yellow with purple stripes. Never grown them before, but heard amazing things, so I'm excited about that. Here we got some tomatoes. Everybody's doing okay. This is a very pretty little flower here that came into the cut flower mix that I bought. It's so cute. I might let it go to seed and save it because I love the way it looks right now. We also have, this is the one, some tomatoes in here. Look at that. This is the, I'm gonna pollinate. This is the sun gold too. I can't believe it's so cool. I have some baby tomatoes there. Hopefully the squirrels don't eat it because it's so low. And more flowers and the tomatoes over there. This guy's on the bed. Those 2 are midnight bromas. They're not doing very great. I made a mistake here too. I tried to do the no-dig method with the plain cardboard on top of the soil and then compost, but I clearly did not put enough compost on top. I got free compost this year from the Queen's Botanical Garden, but it was not enough. We took as much as we could. We attended the sifting bag and compost. I even took some buckets that were not even sifted, but this plot's really big. And then someone mentioned to me on Facebook that they are trying to do it and their things are not doing well because the cardboard just dries so fast. And that's true for me too. It's drying super fast. I'm now trying to be more attentive and come here a little bit more often on my way in or back to work. I pass through here and I try to just soak this cardboard really well, and I think these plants are doing slightly better. But if you're trying to do a no-dig method, just keep in mind that you have to put a lot more compost on top. I've seen different sources with different recommendations, but lately the last one I read said at least 6 to 8 inches. I have like an inch or 2 in here, and after watering they come into the side, so not ideal, but I'm still gonna let it grow and try to see what happens. I was thinking I could put mulch too to help with retaining water, but then my leaves got thrown away. I should have put them sooner, but now I'm having to deal with this drying up super fast. Hopefully with time through the season the cardboard will break down a little bit more and it's gonna become a little easier, but I'm not super hopeful that this side of the garden is going to do as good as the other side. This side over here doesn't have cardboard. I just top dressed it with like a 1/4 inch of compost, and the tomato plants here are looking much bigger, so we'll see how it's gonna go through the season. So you have to find some time to come here and do the same thing that I did to the ones that I have at home. We're gonna take out all of these bottom leaves over here so they're not touching the ground, which they are now, and then I'm going to start attaching them to these poles and staking them up. There are some huge flowers here. Look at this. I think in the last tour I took some out, but I'm gonna leave this in here just to see what happens. Look how huge this one looks. I'm pollinate it. Gotta get a huge tomato out of it. This tomato plant back here is looking a little dry. Maybe I have to come and water a little bit better. I will miss this one later. It's a black beauty. I don't like this, but it's too hot now. Once it gets a little bit cooler in the day, I'll come here and make sure to give a little soak. Even though it's gonna rain today, I hope it recovers because everybody else is looking pretty good. I had some leaves in here, so I put it the little tiny bit that I have in this bed here. Oh, I don't like this. Check this out. I'm seeing a hole in my compost. I hope that's not a big rodent. Hopefully it's just squirrels, because that would not be nice. I actually don't put food scraps in here. This compost pile here, it's only waste from the garden, so I have weeds that I throw in here. If I trim any of the plants, I throw in here too, and some dead leaves we had or dead branches we'll put there, but no food because we are in this open space and we know that it can attract some rodents, but hopefully whatever is in there is not going to do any harm to the garden. Peppers here also going slow, but this also got cardboard on top, so I have to come here, and I think there's one bed here that has cardboard, the other ones don't. But I gotta come here and soak this a little bit better. The leaves are kind of turning yellow too, so I'm gonna have to try to figure out what's happening over here. And that'll be it for today. So that was a bit shorter when I come here for the plot. I think I always talk too much when I'm in the backyard. The backyard is my main garden. It's where I am every day. I come out too. There's a lot more going on there. I planted very densely, a lot of things all over the place too. And I planted a lot of things there sooner than I planted here. That's why everything is growing a bit faster there. It looks a bit ahead. Because since I'm there, I can, I could cover it with the cut coat and all of that stuff. So this one hopefully will catch up to it soon too. And I hope in the next garden tours is going to be looking a bit more filled. If you're curious to see how the garden looked before, you can just watch this video here from last week's garden tour. If you have any questions, just make sure to drop them in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a great weekend, and I'll see you next time.